Hi, I'm Angie Callahan. Welcome to School Talk Monthly. In this program, we'll talk with Dr. David Holleran, Superintendent of Schools for Matthews County. We'll take a look at one of our Earth Week specials and find out who our Schools of the Month are. 2 live programs are coming from the Kennedy Center in April. On Friday the 24th, it's The Making of Ragtime, and on Thursday, April 30th, Ellington Voices Classical to Jazz airs. Both programs start at 11 a.m. You can find out more information at pwnet.org/perform.php. Now let's take a look at the live field trip coming in April from Colonial Williamsburg. Soldier of Liberty airs on Thursday, April 23rd at 10 a.m. and again at 1 p.m. For more information on this live electronic field trip, go to history.org/trips. With me is Dr. David Holleran. He is Superintendent of Schools for Matthews County. Dr. Holleran, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Always a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'd like to first start out. I always ask, how did you get into the field of education? What made you decide to do this as a career?
Well, short story, both my parents were educators. I loved the subject of history. I went to college and was a history major for 3 years and really grew tired of taking tests that had 150 questions, true, false, about who was the Tudor king or queen in 1510. And so my mother told me, change your major, Dave, to elementary education. You'll get a job because you're a male. They need male teachers.
Exactly.
So I did, and that started me on my career. She was right.
You are now superintendent in Matthews County.
Mm-hmm.
And can you talk a little bit about Matthews County for folks who've never visited there, where it is within our geographic structure and the demographics of your school?
I've learned a lot. This is my 6th year there, and I've learned a lot about Matthews County and the proud people that live there. I think that's one thing that will strike you immediately when you're in the county is how proud the community is about themselves and Matthews County. I think this will illustrate this little tidbit about what Matthews County is like. When I interviewed for that job, I really thought it was a setup because they couldn't find anybody and they really needed somebody. I was walking the halls of the high school, and I kid you not, students were, well, hello, sir, how are you? Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, how are you today?
Being very
and I've been in other school systems, and they were fine school systems, but that's the kind of moral fiber of the community. That's Matthews County. Mm-hmm. There's not a second that goes by when we're dealing with a child or a situation where somebody doesn't know about it and can correct that issue very quickly.
Right.
So it's a good situation for that. We have 3 schools, 1 elementary, 1 middle, and 1 high school, each about 400 students. Because of WHRO, we're able to offer a lot of things. With virtual learning and that type of thing. We do the Great Computer Challenge and so forth. We have a lot of support from private citizenry. We have a trust of which we receive anywhere from $40,000 to $70,000 a year for teacher mini grants to do what they think is necessary. Through that, we've purchased over $60,000 for smart boards, so almost every classroom now has a smart board in Matthews County schools.
That's excellent. So
a lot of support there. Your functions, your organizations such as Rotary and Ruritan's, alive and well. We have arts are just everywhere. We actually have Bay School for the Arts, which is a charitable organization supporting the arts in town. And they are actually teaching the art classes for our 5th grade this year. So there's a lot of partnering going on with the school division and the community.
Well, it sounds like you have a tremendous amount of community support.
Mm-hmm.
It's a small division, three schools. It's a small
Mm-hmm.
division, but you, of course, have challenges that you face. Can you talk to me about some of the challenges you have in the school system?
I would say the biggest challenge that we have is finding, not finding, but let's say keeping quality teachers. Our Board of Supervisors, I can't say enough about them, how they work with us, but we just don't have the industry or tax base to support high teacher salaries. That's our biggest issue. And be it right or be it wrong, people will rally behind a building program. They'll give you money if you want to build something, but for some reason when it comes to salaries, you know, there's nothing to show for a salary. You know, you don't get to see a monument or a brick statue in salary. So probably that's the biggest challenge that we have for the schools.
Well, what about some successes? When you talk about Matthews County and your students, what kind of successes do you point to?
Well, I tell you, this year I cried like a baby. And I might well up again because I guess it was a year ago, not this July, but the previous July, I was attending a conference. And I'm going to have to give Chesapeake City Schools credit for this. It was a little round table, and they had started a program where they were working with underprivileged students to try to help them achieve. And I took that idea and I came back to our staff and I said, we're going to do something new this year. In Matthews, we've been accredited for a long time with SOLs. But with the subgroups, with AYP and so forth, it was discouraging to see our underprivileged or black population or special needs, special ed population weren't getting that passing mark. Okay? So I said, listen, let's call this name to a number. I want you to quit looking at everything and just take your 10 worst test scores from each grade level. Don't look at all the excuses about why they can't learn. Just take those kids, focus your energies on them, and let's see what happens. Well, the light went off in a lot of occasions, and I'm proud to say that our high school, for instance, last year, again, always about the 85% mark, let's say, in science. This year, over 90% passed, and it's because you take our special needs group, only 45% had passed the previous 2 years. This year, they had 75% pass.
Congratulations.
Amazing. And what had happened is, years ago when the SOLs came out, there was kind of a strategy, I think, across the state where a cutoff score is 400. That's the passing cutoff score for a student for an SOL test. If someone was hitting around 380, you felt like you had a chance to help them pass the next time around. So you put a lot of energy there. If somebody was below 300, you kind of felt like, And you can love a child and either have high expectations or low expectations. But you can love a child, but if you have low expectations, they're not going to improve. But if you love a child and have high expectations, they're probably going to get a little bit closer to that mark. And I think that's what we saw happen. So we're very excited about continuing that program this year.
That's great success, yeah. So you really did focus on leaving no child behind.
Yes, yes. And so the light went off, so we feel really good about that.
Right. So I was going to ask about your graduates. Once they leave your school system, where are they going to college, or are they going for certifications? What happens once they leave your doors? Sure.
We have, can't quote, can't remember the exact number, but I think somewhere between 70 to 80% of our students go on to some type of other college education, and I can't specify that exact percentage. I'm trying to visualize the flyer in my mind as we speak. But a lot of our kids do go to college. They receive a lot of scholarships. A lot of students are taking advantage of what Rappahannock Community College, that's local. They've garnered all of these agreements with the four-year colleges that if you come to RCC, you can take 2 years of courses and you keep a certain grade level. It's automatic acceptance.
Really
That's a win-win because you pay a community college fee to go for your first 2 years of college, and then you transfer. So it gives you time to work for 2 years, save the money to go for the last 2 years. So a lot of students are taking advantage of that now. And RCC does a lot for us with dual enrollment classes and that kind of thing as well.
That's excellent.
So that's exciting. One of the things that I failed to mention that we really work hard at in our region is partnering. We started an adult ed program a couple years ago. Take it back for a second. In Matthews County 5 years ago, we had 2 people, I think, graduate in the last 2 years for a GED, adults. Last year, in the whole region, we had 98.
Wow.
In our division, I think we had 8. And what happened was we pooled all of our monies together, and we hired a great director named Danielle Robinson. And if you ever go to the Middle Peninsula and Northern Neck, because it's about 8 counties we joined together, you'll see race to GED advertisements around. And it just goes to show you, if you pool your resources, you can do better. So we're also partnering with several school divisions as well as RCC, and they've donated property on their campus to build Bridging Communities. It's what we're calling it, Bridging Communities Vocational Tech Center.
Oh, excellent.
And we received a grant from the State Department, about $200,000 for the planning stage. We've already set up a foundation and got the clearance and so forth, so we can accept monies for that now too, for donations. So it's a lot of meetings, you know, to try to work with 4 or 5 different school boards on these issues, but you have to do that. And you talk about community in the small school divisions, and like you have Middlesex and Matthews and Lancaster and all these areas, you've got to learn to work together so you can provide things for our kids in the community.
Well,
so
it certainly seems
but
like
it's fun.
Yeah, your students and
fun.
parents and grandparents and adults even that need help are all benefiting from your work. Well, you all are a member owner of WHRO. Matthews County Schools are a member owner of WHRO, and I'd just like if you could spend just a couple minutes telling me how do you benefit from membership in WHRO?
I think we benefit, for me personally, just coming to the meetings and working on some of the committees, it opens my eyes to the latest research and development and what the possibilities are in the future. I think it oftentimes in a school system you deal with the reality, you deal with the now, the most present problem, but we have to remove ourselves from time to time so we can have a vision for the future. And I think that's what being a member of FREDA and WHRO allows me to do, is broaden the vision of where we want to be in 5, 10, 15 years down the road. I can't say enough about the Great Computer Challenge, and we have, as you know, a group that just goes after it every year, and they enjoy it. I will tell you, Matthews County Schools, with the support of the community and an excellent IT director that we have, Mr. Vrooman, and Ms. Nancy Welsh, who is our resource teacher and director of testing, just what they do with technology. We don't just talk the talk, we use it. And a lot of the training comes directly from WHRO because of the cost savings that we receive by being a member. Here's an example. You guys may not even know what happens sometimes, but we use the NovaNet program, which we get at a discounted price. Well, NovaNet enables students to either catch up grade levels or enables them to go towards a GED or whatever it might be. Well, we have an alternative program for students that get in a little trouble, okay? So we have to send them to another alternative setting. Well, again, this is another example. We pool with 6 other school divisions. And at night, we all share the NovaNet licenses and our alternative programs. And I can tell you just from Matthews, we had 2 students that caught up 2 grade levels and graduated on time because of that. Had we not had that resource, it would not have happened, because all children don't learn the same. And so that's a wonderful, I think, asset. The United Streaming, we were talking about it before the cameras were rolling. Our teachers use it constantly. I mean, what better way? And as I mentioned, we have the new smart boards. We're just talking touching the board and the screen, and you've got the video. If you're going to talk about a whale, show them the video of the whale. And it's just as simple as pushing a button. So I think those are some of the ways that we've benefited. But I will say, again, going back to what I originally said, it's that stepping out of the box for a little bit to help set a vision for the future, because in school systems sometimes you're dealing with the now, what's in this year's budget, so that's a good thing. And staff development, we take advantage of that. We don't do enough of that because we're still trying to let everybody know it's out there, the online staff development, but we're getting there.
Excellent, excellent. Well, those are about all my questions. Is
Sure.
there anything you haven't covered that you want to say? These are the famous last words moment.
I think that probably some of the most important work that's going on right now is with the virtual learning planning committees. And what I'm talking about are the virtual classes online for students that are being planned. Matthews County, in this area, including Newport News, Hampton, Norfolk, so forth, we have the highest participation rate in virtual Virginia AP classes. It's because of a necessity. We can't go out and hire a teacher if we only have 2 students to take Latin, but we can do it online if we can find it in a quality fashion that's offered. And I think what's going on with this committee through WHRO is going to have a huge impact on the future. A lot of ideas are being touted now. If you have a nice virtual class, then perhaps it could be like a college-style class where you might have 50 students with your best teacher with a quality virtual program. Why not? So it's going to change the way education is done. That's what they're doing at the collegiate level, a lot of online things. We've got to catch up in the public schools.
Well, we will definitely be watching the forward movement of that whole effort.
Indeed.
Well, thanks so much again for coming by and chatting with us today. And
I enjoyed it.
We'll look forward to future successes from Matthews County.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
During Earth Week, WHRO Classroom will broadcast several environmental science programs. Our preview this month is one of those. Here's a clip from Global Warming, Science, and Solutions.
The planet Earth is unique in the solar system. It is surrounded by a blanket of gases, an atmosphere. An atmosphere that is in a finely tuned dynamic balance with the energy reaching the planet from the sun. This balance maintains remarkable atmospheric conditions near the surface of the Earth, conditions of temperature and precipitation that allow life not only to survive, but prosper. Conditions of temperature and precipitation that over the past 10,000 years have also allowed populations to expand to over 6 billion people. In the last half of the 20th century, scientists began understanding that human activity itself, industrialization, and the effects of this growing population was affecting the fundamental structure and composition of Earth's atmosphere, disturbing the dynamic balance between the atmosphere and oceans and the energy from the sun. This shift to a new, more energetic world climate has been known by the all-too-benign term global warming. The mechanism behind this global warming is now well understood, as are the solutions. We only need to trust the science and work together on the implementation of these solutions. Solutions we can no longer afford to ignore. The planet is warming. It's a significantly warmer Earth in the 21st century than it was in the last third of the 20th century. Indeed, 5 of the warmest years on record have occurred in this century. This global warming is being forced by the unabated burning of fossil fuels, pouring CO2 into the atmosphere. And this warming appears to be forcing dramatic regional and worldwide climate shifts. In short, small rises in global temperature make for big changes in regional climate and weather extremes. The how and why this is happening is the science of global warming. I'm Eric Avari. Looking at Earth from outer space, it looks so quiet, so peaceful, so permanent. Yet we know that the surface, the continents, even the atmosphere surrounding the planet have been anything but permanent. Today, the composition of our atmosphere is 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and 1% all other gases. But at one time, before the emergence of complex life, the atmosphere contained no oxygen at all, and carbon dioxide was a dominant gas. From the beginning of the planet, volcanic activity was spewing CO2 into the atmosphere. Then, small single-celled organisms, cyanobacteria, sort of like these algae today, floating in the primordial oceans, began removing CO2 from the atmosphere and replacing it with oxygen. So over time, the composition of our atmosphere can and has changed. We also know that over time, the continents have drifted across the surface of the globe. Climates have shifted from one extreme to the other. Great ice sheets have covered much of the continents, then melted entirely away. In fact, at one time, 90% of the world's land surface was covered by oceans. That is why fossils of great oceanic sea creatures have been found in the rocks beneath the wheat fields of Nebraska and Kansas.
Everybody today is very much concerned about future climate change. And as every historian will tell you, the best guide to the future is the past. And a good place to start is dinosaurs. And those who saw Jurassic Park know the world was a very different place. Lots of swamps and jungles. It was very hot. And it was so hot that there was no ice on Earth. In the polar regions, temperatures were well above freezing.
You've been previewing Global Warming Science and Solutions. This 2-part series block feeds Earth Week on April 21st from 2 to 4 a.m. Other environmental specials airing Earth Week include WHRO's locally produced middle school series, Forest Files. This look into the importance of trees airs Tuesday, April 21st at 2 p.m. and again Wednesday, April 22nd at 2 a.m. Another local program, Man and the Great Dismal Swamp, follows on April 22nd at 2:30 a.m. You can find more information on these series in your WHRO Classroom Guide or in our guide online at whro.org/classroom. Our video streaming service, whro.unitedstreaming.com, also includes a wealth of environmental science resources you can use in your classroom. Now it's time to recognize our schools of the month. Christopher Farms Elementary School in Virginia Beach is home to the Spanish Partial Immersion Academy. This school within a school allows participating students to learn science and math in Spanish and the remainder of their curriculum in English. It's the only program of its kind in our area. The language immersion teacher and the grade level teachers work in tandem to integrate the total curriculum. For providing students a foreign language experience at the elementary level, we salute Christopher Farms, our Elementary School of the Month. The Technology Club at Windsor Middle School in Isle of Wight County is an after-school club for students interested in technology and problem solving. In addition to participating in WHRO's Great Computer Challenge, the students are currently constructing a sea perch underwater robot that will be used in a competition in June. For giving students the opportunity to gain 21st century skills, we applaud Windsor, our Middle School of the Month. The 9th grade Word Masters team at Granby High School in Norfolk placed 12th in the nation out of 556 schools when they recently competed in the Word Masters Challenge. This national classroom activity competition requires close reading and analysis of many different kinds of prose and poetry. All honors, AP, and IB English classes at Granby participated. Congratulations to the Word Masters at Granby, our High School of the Month. The Hebrew Academy of Tidewater and their Early Childhood Center have served the educational needs of Hampton Roads families for a combined total of more than 80 years. They offer a dual curriculum. Their faculty includes general studies teachers, Judaic studies, and Hebrew language teachers, plus multiple resource teachers. For endeavoring to educate students to be intellectually curious, self-disciplined, and independent thinkers, we name Hebrew Academy of Tidewater as our Independent School of the Month. If you are looking to improve your teaching skills through professional development this spring, then check out the variety of online courses available through Virginia's PBS Teacher Line. 12 locally facilitated courses begin in March. Go to virginiateacherline.org and click on Current Schedule. Well, that's all for now. This program and all the links we talk about are available online at schooltalk.org. Thanks for watching. See you next time on School Talk.